Thank you, Parvathy, and thank you, Khatija, for joining us at the second edition of Women of Power series. I'll start with you, Parvathy. To this audience, because most of them are from Tamil Nadu, many of them, of course, Malayalis who have particularly come to see you. So, yes. Can you're not from a film background family, but you came into movies at a very young age. And while Shabir was reading, I realized that so many years have not done too many movies also. You've been very particular in the kind of movie you do, in what you choose. But did you have such a path cleared out for yourself from the beginning itself? Or did that come to you later?
Hi everyone. First of all, I feel like on a Sunday morning to come over and spend time with us. Time's very important. As I get older, I understand the importance of time spent with family, friends, and the time off from work. So appreciate you all turning up. And it's an intimate gathering still. It's a huge hall with all of you, but feels good. It's nice. So I started when I was 17. And that's because my mom was very excited about having me experience all kinds of art, like be it dance, Bharatanatyam, singing. My singing teacher stopped coming, but still like she would send me to different places. We'll talk about that. Forgot. So, but then there was this fashion show of some sort and mom was like, let's get dressed up and go. And I kind of felt that she wanted me to experience everything as a kid, like she couldn't quite because of financial, issues and everything. And then when an opportunity came, now that I think about it in hindsight, my mom and dad were my biggest cheerleaders. They were scared. I can still remember the fear in their eyes. Like, they don't know what they're throwing me at. Like, they'll come with me. They'll stop their work and come with me. And about 2 years in, I told them, don't come. I can go alone and do it. And they're like, no way, you can't do that. Mainly because of what people would say, extended family would say. But the fact that at that point, they could trust an 18, 19-year-old, when she said that I can handle myself. I will make sure that this job is because I love this craft. And I know my why. I know why I'm doing this. I don't know, at this age, now I'm 35 and I'm thinking, it's like, okay, if I had a kid and my kid told me that, I'll be like, good try. Like, I'm coming with you. You're going to college. So I feel like I owe that a lot to my mom and dad to have taken that leap of faith with me. And I did have that path cleared out in my head, probably not in the circumstances that came ahead. It's just that I always kept telling myself, if not this, I'm just going to do something else. Even if I want to start a tea shop, like I'll do something else. But this is not going to be a job that comes out of desperation. It has to come from a place of, I really want to get deep into it. And I got such a kick out of it with my second film, Notebook. With the kind of impact the character had on many people. It was such a grey shade, as they called her. Basically, she was selfish, and I like that she was selfish. I feel like those are the kind of grey shades women aren't given in films. I feel like that beginning, Notebook being the kind of commercial beginning of sorts, put things into perspective for me that, oh, this is the only high I want. This is the only kick I need. Everything else was a bonus or noise. So I immediately started splitting that. And I remember telling my friend just yesterday that I remember sitting by my bed and saying, failure is not an option. Like, you have to, success, you can keep redefining what success is for you, but failure is not an option. So at 17, 18, and 19, I think I was far more confident than I am now at 35. I'm pretty much in awe of that self now that I think about it, yeah.
So just to tell you how dedicated Parvathy is, I gave her a wrong warning today that she has to be at the Bangalore airport at least 2 hours before departure. And Parvathy being Parvathy went there 2.5 hours before. And unfortunately, it was in the Terminal 2 where there was no one. So she just, for all of you, she turned up 2.5. This is at 4:30 in the morning, okay?
Yeah, so I've slept like 1 hour and Dhanya came much later and joined me. So, but I'm still happy.
So that's a dedication on a Sunday to ensure that we board that flight and reach here also. Thank you for that. Khatija, as Parvathy said, failure is not an option. but success can be defined and redefined, right? You sang first at a very young age, but then you took a long break for 8 years and came back. Tell us more about how your career is panning out.
Hello. Okay. So I think I was very overwhelmed. I think with all the fame and all of that. So then I thought, okay, I don't want to be famous. I'll just get into like isolate myself. But then looks like that's not what God intended. But I think that break was important because I probably did not want to do things because probably people in my family were doing it. So I took that 7-8 years break. I was just studying, doing internships, working in NGOs. And then I realized, okay, now,
You work with the Cancer Institute as an intern.
yeah, so I worked with the Cancer Institute. So the thing is, I realized, okay, now we can help the poor. Of course, we have a trust foundation and everything. But then how do I become independent enough to support the poor? Okay, there are sponsors, there are things. But there is nothing more than giving like 100 rupees from your own hard-earned money. So that's when I said, okay, where is my identity? Who am I? And then that's when I realized, okay, music is in the family. So why don't I use that gift? Also, people were very upset when I quit, like for those 7-8 years. I said, you're being selfish, you're not sharing your gift. And I also realized probably I needed that time. And then I think once I got back, even then I didn't feel that fire, passion much. Like I was just processing a lot of things. But then now, as she said, it was not just for the sake of it or for the sake of fame, but now there's some fire, some passion. Probably that also came because a lot of people were putting me down. So then I said, how do I rise above rather than just screaming and telling? How do I show that, okay, I am beyond the physical appearance? There is more to me, which probably even I am discovering at this point. So that break really helped me.
So I noticed that you talked about people putting you down. We'll come to that a little later. Parvathy, you spoke about how failure was never really an option for you, right? But I just want to ask you one more pointed question, that when you choose movies, how do you decide that this is something that I don't want to do? Because I've often heard that people don't have the luxury, especially women artists, don't have the luxury of saying no too many times because those offers never come back. What was the shelf life they predicted for you?
7 years. Sorry. So what happened is the very beginning. I mean, there are these structures that I believe still are some of those remnants of some old age kind of a thing, where there are certain hierarchies that you have to go through to reach an actor. So the first thing I did was remove all of those layers. I was like, the producer wants to reach out to me or a director wants to, I'm the person to talk. And there was also this thing, I was 17 or 18, and they were always like, whom do we talk money to? And I said, me. I'm the one who's doing the job, me. And like, no, your father's number. Like, no, me.
But are you good with money?
No. I'm not good. What is this, Truth Sunday or something? I wish I could lie. I'm getting better. But yeah, so I said, I'll talk about it. And kind of got appreciated for that, because whoever was coming in the middle would have their own strategies. And I was like, I can't quite get on board with those strategies. It makes it a bit more obtuse, the entire experience. I mean, we're here to make a movie together. Let's just say that I value myself and my services at this. And if you can match up to that, well and good, let's collaborate. Or if not, maybe another time. And this maybe another time always came at a fact that I always felt my identity, my core identity of who I am, will always be rooted in being an empath and being a good person or being a kind person, wanting to reach there. I can be a bank manager and still be that. I can be somewhere else like doing farming and still be that. I don't need to be an actor and be entirely validated all the time just to be that. Except this job is, this craft is very satisfying in its process. So I didn't want to leave it, but if it came down to me having to compromise my agency, then I was gonna go. So this thing of luxury, I gave myself from the very beginning. I was like, I have an exit plan. I always have an exit plan. I may not leave art. I may become an artist of another kind. I'll always find art, but if that is my expression, I will. But I didn't know how. But that always kept me sane quite a bit. And I
But
think my
knowing
parents.
that there is something else out there, you don't have to compromise.
Yeah, I didn't want it to be like, because even in the beginning when they were like, if you don't do this, if you don't speak to them in this tone, if you don't like giggle at the bad jokes made around you or all of that, you're not to be liked. And I'm like, I'm not here to be liked. And for some reason, that was very, very clear right from the very beginning. But I wouldn't say I wasn't confused. There were times when I would be on set and there would be extremely bad, regressive, misogynistic jokes made, and everyone would be giggling and they would be looking at me like, oh, Malayalam, I'm sure people know what jada is. They'll be
Arrogance.
like, yeah. And I'll be with
What is a Tamil word? Romba gettu? No.
Jade.
Jade, huh.
Man, we are not that. So, and then there's that aspect where if you can't sit with a book, oh God, if you sit with a book on a film set, like you're done for. And then you can't ask questions. And I used to be like, it's one of those things where, you know, that old thing that it's not a bad example, but still, you know how a guy likes you if he ignores you? Logic. It was that. I was like, what? Like, that doesn't make sense. So it was like that. Oh, you gotta be liked. And so you had to earn it by being coy and being a certain way and all that. I was like, this is who I am. I'm still figuring out who I am. And let me be. So I ended up losing out on a lot of work as well in the very beginning. So I believe Dhanya, everybody knows, and I'm very grateful for that, from when Indananda Moideen and Charlie and Bangalore Days came in. The first 8 years is kind of like in the dark still. But that stays within me very powerfully. I still remember when no validation or nothing was there except me showing up for work and going back home with, I don't know what belief kept me going, that the job in itself, the satisfaction in the job in itself, the only monetary metaphor I can use is investment and return of investment, ROI. Like I was like, I get it right there. I act and I get it immediately. And that's the satisfaction. So that's what I think cushioned me. Yeah.
So she was saying that she always has an exit plan in place, which also keeps her sort of happy that, okay, maybe. I remember once we had a discussion and you said that I'll even intern in a news organization maybe. So I told her, yes, anytime, please come over.
Still up for it.
Yeah. So in your case, you exited immediately when you felt there is going to be a lot of pressure on you, right? Now let's talk about your entry. How did Sagavasi happen and the whole Tamil Coke studio experience?
Sagavasi happened because Kritika Nelson is my friend. So then she reached out. So before she called me, I was in a very different space, right? I was like, I don't want to just sing, but I want to do impactful things. But then I didn't know how to do it. I was a little low. So, and then correctly this thing happened. And when she called, I thought she's calling because she wants my dad. So then after that, I realized, this thing happened, and it was an amazing experience. So honestly, it was very overwhelming for me. I was like breaking down and things like that, but which only Kritika knew, because I was like, do I even deserve this? There's also a guilt which comes with privilege. I'm like, you know, so those kind of emotions were happening. So people around were very kind and said that you do have something, because sometimes it's very difficult to differentiate if somebody is talking because of a family background or valuing you. So I think it was about finding myself, finding my strengths, and little did I imagine that the song will go like this. And I think I'm very grateful to the team, and it was wonderful singing Ariva's lyrics. And it was also very important for me because 4 years back I was in the news for the wrong reasons, and the same news is writing about my work. There are hoardings of me, irrespective of how I look or whatever I do. So that really meant a lot to me. Like I think it just organically happened. So at that point I was very upset, right? Like when all those stuff happened. And then I realized God does have a plan. He wants me to push back, like push forward. And I think that happened. So I realized now there's no turning back. Now there's no giving up. It's fine even if there's success or not. Like I just have to show up, like as she said. So this is a very, very huge step for me, because Even when I have to put out new songs, I'm like, oh my god, is it going to be nice? Are they going to think? And so many things. Even for Sagavasi, there was a lot of negativity. They said nepotism. They said a lot of things. I was very upset. I said probably I should have gone to IT. Then I thought if I had gone to IT also, they'll say, oh, such a big person's daughter, she's into IT. So then I realized I'm going to keep saying things. Finally, the donkey is going to fall in the water, which is me. So I'm like, I don't want to do that. I said, okay, I'll follow my heart. I'm true to my self, true to God. So I said, okay, He'll take care of this one. And I'm just filled with gratitude, overwhelmed, speaking my heart out. I'm very zoned out also because I haven't slept properly. So
Join the gang. So, Khatija, so you were saying that there was also a guilt because you felt, am I getting this because of my privilege? Do you think there was that feeling when you kept away from the industry for 8 years? Somewhere that was niggling you?
no, it was not that. I was just finding myself, to be honest. I think I got more clarity. Um, it was not the privilege or something, but honestly, I'm like, do I give up? Do I move on? How long will I take in these abuses? Because it was getting difficult, right? It's like, it's not like Coke is organically doing it because it is a first season of Tamil. Of course, 95% of the people were happy, but my human brain focused on the negativity.
So you're saying there were a lot of negative comments
They
also.
were also, they were like this, that. I said, okay, it's not that I pushed another person and got the opportunity. People organically called me because they felt Ariva's and my voice is an interesting blend. So then I said, okay, fine, you talk whatever you want. I haven't pushed somebody and come up.
But
I'm
was it
also coming
upsetting?
up
Was
here.
it upsetting that?
I was like, everything was going well, and then this was happening. So I said, okay, what did I do? We also want to come up. We are also working hard. So then I said, okay, they'll keep talking. Best part, they'll not even have a DP, and then they'll just comment. I said, okay, I said, okay, they're a bunch of jealous idiots who can't even show up. I said, okay, carry on.
So we have a veteran on stage, Parvathy, when it comes to uh, huh? Yeah, no, I think she's way more veteran than me in this. So, but Parvati, I mean, I know that we joke a lot about it now, but it has been a very difficult journey that way. The kind of internet has democratized everything, including abuses. And what can you tell? Because a lot of people here may not have entirely followed how you have struggled and sort of found your way to cope with most of this. Not all the time, but yeah.
I need to like do some tap meditation and all to like keep myself in check, like nervous system re-regulation and all that. I feel like the cause of the entire problem in 2017 was me saying Kasaba, and then I have to repeat Kasaba several times.
Why are you repeating it again?
You know Kasaba is the film that I was talking about. No, I'm
Yes.
just kidding. I'm just rubbing it in. So I remember I got a call when I was in Dubai with my parents, and it was at the very peak of me being trolled is an understatement.
I think the word to use is harassed. We should
It
never
was-
use the
it
word
was-
trolled.
Yeah, it was harassment, but at the time when it started off, it was called Pongala. Okay, it was like this.
That's a
Pongala
Malayalam
was
word for when thousands of people
Yeah.
just come on your timeline and abuse you. That's called Pongala.
And I remember my colleague and friend Rima said, "Do not look at your Twitter, okay? Do not, and do not respond. Do not write back." And I was like, "Why? Why shouldn't I write back? I can reason with them." And then I tried, and then I stopped, and then I went to one of our common friends' houses, and then I was going through, and it was kind of this addiction too. I watched myself go down this rabbit hole, even though I knew it was affecting me. It was enraging me and upsetting me. And men or accounts that had names which were male names were okay. When it were women, it affected me more. And it was, I don't know why that was happening. More tears were shed on that. I was like, but why do you have a problem with me? But at one point we found death threats, like very specific, very detailed, gory death threats and rape threats. And at that point I was turned to my friend and I said, isn't this like something I should give a case, right? Because something about knowing your rights and all that, it was still very hazy at the time. And then I went to the police, and while the case was going on, I took my parents and I went to Dubai for a few days for a break, and I just needed to be away, but I was not away at all. The one person who called me and asked me to switch my phone off was Dhanya.
I didn't know her at all then.
Yeah, at the time we
I
didn't
just
know each other.
randomly called as a, as reaching out.
Someone who's
service.
a veteran at the
Yeah.
time was also trolled massively. What happened though is that I was okay for about 3 to 4 months. I fought back. There were legal cases going and getting these kids, actual kids, in jail, and then having them seen out, and all these conversations and lack of conversations within my own industry about what was happening. About a few months later, I started noticing my blood pressure was going down and my mental health was deteriorating. So everyone had this thing that, oh, you're so strong, right? So I'm sure you'll be okay. The first 4 months, it's almost like that thing they say about when you have an accident, you'll immediately start walking. You don't know if internally you have any bleeding or anything. So it was like that for me. For the next few months, I had memory loss. I couldn't remember words for regular things like spoon. I'd be like fidgeting, and I realized that I genuinely like need help, because everything that my body and mind was doing was to survive at that time and cope. And for me to learn everything about, okay, now that the imminent danger was off, my body was like, oh, now you can collapse. Now you don't have to like hold up the fort. And then it was tough. Then for about a year, everything went awry, be it my health physically, mentally, work-wise, the kind of internal politics that was happening to keep me away from work. All of that happened. And it's not easy to like relive that, but I keep having to tell myself how far I've come. And the fact is that it was the same year the collective came into being. And there was so much learning within the collective to how to stand up for each other. And how I realized in all that pain what my privilege was still. Being born into the family that I was born into the majoritarian religion, or the caste that I was born into, all of that did still cushion me, because my fellow collective members I saw were equally trolled and harassed. And that did not catch enough headlines, or that did not catch enough sympathy. And then it was a whole nother education. So at some point it became about just sitting back and learning to listen as well, and sit with the discomfort, and know that at some point the clarity will come to you, and you might be able to use that in a conversation, in your art, or maybe with a friend, maybe with a stranger at some point. Like I said, at the end of the day, any job that you're doing, if you're choosing to be kind and you find that one empathy muscle within you, you've kind of nailed it in life. So all this still, like even if I get trolled now or attacked now, there is a pinch. I do feel a pinch. I feel that is what strength is. You allow yourself to feel deeply. I don't know how to be an actor or an artist without feeling deeply. Yeah.
So I'll just ask one or two more things about the online behavior and go, but there's a reason why I want them to speak to an audience about this. I'll come to that reason later. Well, Khatija spoke, she said that when a song came out, almost 95% of people said good things, but there were the 5%. I think she's being kind, maybe 10% of people would have said bad things, but her human mind should always go to that, right? And can you explain that? So what you went through?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as I said, it was a little upsetting, because it felt like everybody is celebrating, everybody is happy for me, and then this corner they just kind of try to drag you down. And then I sometimes realize why people do that. This is happened even from known circles, right? They just try to bring you down, talk about your character, so many things. So I'm like, why do they do that? Like, what do they get from it? Because I can never think like that of putting somebody down, because I know how it feels. So this is a thought process which keeps going. I'm like, okay, I'll try to, as she said, I can't be numb. I'm also a human being, and I do come across people say don't read them. How can I not read them? It is amidst the positive comments. Ignore. How long to ignore? Like, I have to react. I do have feelings. I'm a human being, and I'll be lying if I say no. And strength also doesn't mean that ignoring it is also going through my emotions and processing it and moving out of it, and not becoming that person who hurt me. So that is strength for me. and this, I think I realize it's gonna happen till the last moment of my life, till I keep working. So at this, I cannot do anything. Either it'll be about my attire or either it'll be about my work. So I realized two choices: either I quit or either I move with this. So I said, okay, I'll move with this. I have my support system, so talking to them helps. Talking to known people, when I feel heard, when I feel some people value me and they say, okay, you're not what the true harassers say, it feels better. So there's no, this will be there. It's somewhere in one corner. When you don't feel confident, these comments will pop up somewhere, because then you'll be like, am I the person who they said? So it kind of breaks the person down. But then, as she said, having that tad bit of empathy, despite everything, is difficult. But I think that is true strength, not becoming the person who hurt you.
So no, the reason why I wanted them to just talk to you all about this is because many times I have realized that people think you have 3 million followers, you have 2 million followers, or let's say 20,000, whatever it is. They feel, okay, they're celebrities. People can abuse them and go. They don't feel anything. Somebody else must be handling their social media, right? But behind that are these human beings who actually do scroll through. They actually feel all these emotions. So the only thing as an audience, as people who also use social media, is that next time you see something like this happening, what is your support, right? Because a Khatija or a Parvathy also needs that. So that's the reason why it's important to know that people go through all these emotions when it's on. It's easy for us to say mute, block, like Ram is forever advising me to block people. Raga goes into my Twitter account and blocks people. So one day I open Twitter and like half the people are blocked, because Raga is just like, I'm going to block people for you, Dhanya, and I'll go unblock them. So the thing is, we can do all that, but at the end of the day, as people who want to live in a humane society, we need to also lend our support to them. That's the reason why I want to speak about this.
I just want to say something. So you might agree with what we say, you might not agree with what we are, the art we create, but constructive feedback is okay, but not saying things like dragging the person down. Of course, it's not that you can't comment about the work saying, oh, this can be better, or whatever. So another thing is, see, you not every time you have to share that, oh, I don't agree with your views. You can shut up also sometimes, right? Like, you don't have to go and comment. Nobody is waiting for such comments. You want to watch, you watch. Okay, I see that you've not liked my post. I understand that you don't like it. You don't have to keep going and kind of tagging and saying things.
For you, does
I agree with her. I do want to add one thing though. When somebody does voice support, it means a lot. Yeah. There are times I have just wept happy tears when I've seen people like not fight it out, but actually saying, dude, just back off. And I'm like, this person has no stake in my life. And he or she or they are spending so many minutes of their life just defending, or at least not even defending, saying that leave the person alone. Sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need even strangers standing up, the kindness of strangers. So I bank on that kindness always. And I know that I turn out to be kind in some random account I'll be going and commenting to. Something.
Yes, yeah, I know.
You
yes.
know that, right?
Yeah.
Like, because even if they don't know me, I'm sure that might make their day, because I know how good it feels, yeah.
So that's the reason why I broach this, because the kindness of strangers, right? Of us simply saying that, hey, stay off this topic, don't say such things. I go and fight with random people like that. So, I mean, every day 10-15 minutes you set aside for this to either support people.
Like meditation.
Yeah. I mean, so now to the next thing I want to ask you is the industry that you're part of. There are so many stereotypes about women in the industry, right? Especially Parvathy, you are an actor, so there are so many stereotypes about women. And you, before I go to that, let's talk about WCC first. As I keep saying, this audience is not just from Kerala. A lot of people may not be even aware of WCC. It is a Women of Cinema collective. I think one of the pivotal moments of which happened during the Me Too wave also in 2000, when it started in 2018. I think WCC came before that. But I think in the fight for feminism and in making safe spaces, WCC is very important. It's a collective of people of women from the Malayalam film industry. What has the journey been for you and for WCC?
So the collective came into being when our colleague was assaulted in a moving car, and she stood up for herself. And we were all scattered all across shooting for different films. And I remember getting the call and saying, let's start a WhatsApp group. Let's discuss what's happened to her. How is she doing? So it started by just like checking in on her. And then within a week or two, we realized that we had already shared enough to know that there were similar experiences that we faced by repeat offenders, that we're all stating the same people. And it's something shifted with us, was like, much like I said, I can start a tea shop and go off. Much like that, I felt like, this is before February 2017 and after February 2017. And something was so clear suddenly for all of us, like, if it's not a dignified workspace, we are not going to work here. But it's our right to be an actor, be an editor, be this artist, be a filmmaker. So we are going to occupy our space. We're just not going to leave, because that's what we realized has been happening. It was all those discussions for the next 1.5, 2 months. We realized the only way we can impact or we can advocate change is by legitimizing this group, by registering as a society, and not complain in the already existing associations, organizations, but go to the very top and to meet the chief minister and make an appeal as to these are the things. It being an unorganized working sector, there aren't, like in corporate laws, there aren't any entertainment laws in place. There is POSH, but there is no following through with the existing law. So there needed to be a group or some people who asked for it and demanded it, because it's our right. But again, I felt there were so many of us who came together who actually had so much to lose, way more than I had to lose. But they still came forward, and they were all sort of boycotted for a very long time. Yes, I lost opportunities too, but I don't know, maybe it's my privilege, and maybe it's the fact that I was already kind of decided that if not this, then I'll find some way to live. And that always was I was very cocky about it. So I was like, sure. But then what actually surprised and shocked me is the resistance from within the industry, the already existing film bodies saying, no, we don't need POSH. I'm like, there is no answer. There's nothing you can say that's going to come out good at this point. If you're going to say we don't need preventive measures.
Prevention of sexual harassment.
Prevention of sexual harassment. It's like prevention, prohibition, prevention, punishment? Thank you. Neo 3Ps. But the thing is that why are we only getting to it at the stage of punishment?
But it is not just about sexual harassment, right?
It
I
was
remember
not just that.
you saying that the women actors or women technicians do not even have toilets on sets.
Anybody for that matter. Actually, the main stars would have the vanity. And if, let's say, an assistant director who's a girl or art department, if somebody goes, they'd be like, don't. Like the caravan, the vanity manager will not allow them to go in. So this is now a humanitarian issue. Like, what are you doing? And then, of course, when I went in with this appeal with AMMA to the Artist Association, much older actors also came in and said, they had prostate issues, they had health issues, and they just have to find some random house near the location to go relieve themselves. And it all caused health issues which nobody was covering. There is no insurance, nothing to cover. And that itself is still baffling me, why there is no insurance that the producer would provide, right? Anything can happen to us. And if something happens to us, we might actually have to reimburse the producer for the loss. There is no protecting us. So
That means you break a bone and you pay the producer.
yeah, like, because they've lost lakhs and lakhs, and have to replace us and all that. And that's all in the contract. So coming to what you said, it's not just sexual harassment, it's also all kinds of workplace harassment. It's the power equation that's been created from ages ago, that you can't ask for what is rightfully yours. Is clarity in contract. What is my job? How many days do I show up for? What are my rights in this? No,
But you don't have a contract.
We have a contract, but it's an archaic contract where it's a heavily producer dependent one. When I started off, because my parents are lawyers, I started putting in, like, that thing you put in, say, mutually mutually agreeable dates. Mutually agreeable. This was my weapon. I was like, "Jahan bhi dekho, like dalo." One mutually agreeable here. So I was like, at least I'll be protected in the court of law. I can actually say something like that. But that was resisted too. But even now, Dhanya, I mean, I can ask for contract and I'll go through each and every line. But there are so many people who just want the job and need to get, because their livelihood matters, they can't insist on it. And more often than not, they're not paid, they're exploited, they're gaslit when they're asked. None of this is still actually. So, as a collective, we are starting with what we know the best, which unfortunately is how we are exploited because of our gender, and start from there. But that covers everything, with the writ petition that we filed, with bringing posh laws in action, making sure that there is an IC in every film set. That's a question I can now bravely ask and make sure that, okay, I'm not signing the contract until I see who's in the IC. I can do that. I can afford to do that because I have the privilege and I have the earned privilege as well. And I don't mind standing to lose a couple of projects. And I feel like that's, again, what the collective has come to
So
now.
you're saying you will say no to a movie if they do not have an internal committee?
Yeah, if they're not willing to provide the details of an IC. Yeah. I wouldn't, because at the end of the day, I work with a lot of children too. There are a lot of children on set, there are a lot of women on set, a lot of men on set. They're all extremely vulnerable and the hours are grueling. Nobody is there to actually keep everyone in check and accountable. And I am on set watching those kids who play my children walk around. They go with anybody and everyone. And I keep wondering, okay, the mother or the father, the guardian, cannot shout at anybody because the kid will be replaced. And I'm like, okay, I see that, but I'm like, I don't want her to go with anybody and everyone. So the only thing that can keep me a little like, okay, something can be done, is the fact that there's an IC. And that's also to protect everyone on set. Yeah.
So for those unaware, the WCC went to the Kerala High Court. They were just not writing Facebook posts or Instagram posts, as a lot of people there criticized them of doing. They went to court, and the Kerala High Court gave a judgment, which is the first in the country. They said every movie set has to have an internal committee or an internal complaints committee. So now every Malayalam movie production has an internal committee which deals with sexual harassment and workplace harassment. So that's a big achievement. And I think we have to speak more about those achievements too, right? Khatija, so safety, making safe space for women especially is a huge dialogue in Malayalam cinema. Now whether, of course, I'm not saying that it's a completely positive dialogue because there's a lot of resistance also. But do you believe that dialogue will come to Tamil cinema at some time, that there will be some sort of mobilization here also? Do you personally want to do something about it?
I think we can have a conversation, maybe you, me, bring in somebody from the south. Dialogue does help because honestly, hello, I'm learning a lot from what she's saying.
Just hold it like this.
Hello.
No.
I'm learning a lot from what she's saying. I mean, for us, it's just singing or music. It's never to deal with such a huge thing. But there have been times where I had to compromise because I was scared I'll be called as I have attitude, I'm demanding too much. This is a flip side of having privilege, right? Like then they'll say, oh, this, that. So in fact, with my collaborations, I did not even want to be 5 minutes late because then they'll say, okay, she's, even to order something out of the production food, I would think twice. I'm like, okay, let me pay and get it. Otherwise, they'll say she's demanding a lot. So this is unfortunately the flip side of having privilege. There were things sometimes in certain collaborations I had to compromise because I said, okay, I'm just growing. So of course, not that I was harassed or something, but I'm just saying even in terms of sometimes
Just
not
getting what is rightfully
exactly
yours.
So then I said, okay, in certain instances I will take it as I'm being trained, learned. So this is how at this point I kind of thought, and of course people did see that they did understand, okay, she is being genuine. So this is a, what do I say, flip side. So I'm just learning how to handle it.
Yeah, I want to say something here though. I feel I don't know much about the singers community and what the struggles are, but I have followed what Chinmay has been going through and I support her entirely. I just hats off to her for standing her ground and showing up every day. Because I know in my own way how much it hurts to just stay there and feel supported, but that doesn't cut it sometimes. You just want to be able to do your job. I feel what the collective has taught me is that we were all made to feel like islands and not have conversations about uncomfortable things that are happening around us. And regardless of privilege or lack of privilege, to hold space to just listen sometimes empowers the other person to say that, oh, at least I was able to vocalize it and I can maybe now do something about it. Or maybe not. Maybe they'll get good night's sleep. Maybe that's a win. So I feel like that I terribly miss that in the Tamil film industry. I feel like there isn't, I miss that in Malayalam too, but ever since the collective, there is such a, like if I find another actor and I talk to them and what movie they're doing, I'm sorry.
The camaraderie.
Yeah, not just camaraderie, it's actually, it's a bit more of, what do you call it? It's a movement, it really is. I mean, there are younger actors who are coming in. I feel like I'm ignoring the entire section here. I want to suddenly, hi, sorry, just suddenly I was like, they're there.
That's the future politician in Parvathy who's like nodding and everybody in the audience, yeah?
Okay, but you guys can see me, right? So cool. I actually do call up newer actors, and when they are, and watch their movie and I call them. I used to not do that because I have this issue, like I'm a recovering people pleaser, okay? So I have this thing where I'm like, oh, will they think this about me, where I'm trying to be hip and young now, want to be in with the young crowd. And
like you were sharing Sagavasi multiple times. Is that because you were trying to be young?
I'm like, I hang out with Anna, Ben, Darshana and all, and I'm like, when they say certain things, I'm like, children, kids, I feel so old. But the fact is, when we are together and we are doing acting workshops together, I mean, 10 to 12 years ago, doing acting workshop with your fellow actors, female actors especially, was unheard of. To talk about your craft was unheard of. Now I can actually sit with them and say, did you see that movie? And did you watch the interview of this actor? This is how she approached that scene. How will you approach that scene? And for me to say that, okay, do you have an intimate scene coming up in this film? Oh, you know what you can do? You can get an intimacy coordinator. Or you can totally ask for that. If not, there is a consent exercise you can do with your co-actor. And I'm saying these things not because they're asking me. I am volunteering. I'm asking them, do you have a project coming up where you are uncomfortable? Because when the majority around you, this is about representation again, but the majority around you are not representing your gender and your culture and all of it, there isn't going to be enough resources on the set at workplace to support what your problems are going to be. So it's still about 5 women to about 70 men on a film set in the South. So, I mean, how will they know what exactly do we need? If, unless more of us come in and say that, no, we need these things too, and we can all like occupy the space together and collaborate and create. But so otherwise I meet actors separately and ask them, how do you approach this? This was unheard of. And the more I have these conversations, slowly they start opening up about not just bad experiences, but about even their personal identity crisis that we go through. I felt so alone, and I thought that is normal. And that needn't be the normal. The sense of community is so important. It teaches me so much about just my own anger issues and my rage and all of it, to know that I'm not alone in this. I can actually seek help. I learned that a lot from the newer generation coming in. So I feel like when I let myself be available to them, and sometimes I don't have the mood, I'll be honest, I don't have the mood to listen to trauma. I just want to protect myself. Sometimes I feel like I'm without skin, and someone would have just called and they want to talk about it, and I'm like, this hurts. Just listening to it hurts. And I'm like, but this is the discomfort. You get to protect each other. You're there for each other. So it's one of those very slithery, slimy, painful process to go through. But that's one huge takeaway from the collective. It doesn't matter what else we achieve. Sometimes I'm like, at least did we crack this thing where women can't form a community together and have conversation, and then have conversation with other genders to say, we are not here to take from you, we are here to share with you. How is that such a lost concept on all of us?
So I wanted to add, so they always keep saying women put each other down, trying to say women are spiteful against each other. But I think it's not just that. Like, from my limited perspective from the stage, I think the majority here is women. I think had they wanted to put us down, they would not have showed up on a Sunday morning. So these are all just created simply to say, okay, she's jealous, this, that, So I think that narrative has to change.
How would Indian cinema and serial survive if a woman is not a woman's greatest enemy, right? I mean, that is your biggest script. The mother-in-law is killing the daughter-in-law, daughter-in-law is killing the other sister-in-law.
Turn 3 times.
Yeah, yeah. And freeze frame. Yeah. So, no, but Khatija, like what Parvathy was saying, that there are not enough women in the industry itself. Do you always sometimes wish that there were more women helming projects? It's not just about having women. It's also about women making decisions.
Yes, I felt it. Like, I feel even in terms of the composers in our Tamil industry, I feel there's more people should come. They are coming, but I feel that is kind of less. But in terms of singers, it's been good.
Because a man cannot sing for a woman, therefore they have to have women.
So I think having dialogues like this, having people from the industry attend this will help. Like, for example, I went to this conference last year. Majority of them were men, and then the person who was kind of the panelist said he wants a equality in the proportion of the genders. Had he not told them, they would not have realized. So it is still
Oh, you mean the panel had mostly men?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's called manel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm normally called on many manels just as representation.
Yeah, so it also what I see, women just come like, come give the gifts and leave. Like one doll.
Flower.
They used like one doll dressed attractively. I felt so bad. But few years back, the awareness wasn't there. I didn't realize all this is this one, right? So then I'm like, oh my God, we have a long way to go. Like, for example, I'd gone to somebody's house. All the men ate first. The couples, the women were seated. So I rebelled. All the men ate first. Serving kuda illa. They are just sitting, and then the wife serves whatever. So this happened few years back. It didn't affect me. So with a lot of unlearning, lot of awareness, I realized, oh my goodness, in the 21st century, is it still happening like this, right? And then, you know what I did? I was hungry. I took the food and went to the room. I mean, I didn't want to eat.
The next time you should sit there.
No, I was not comfortable. They were loudly talking and also I just took my food and I went. No, I'm just saying there's a long way to go. Right?
That you yourself unlearned. At first you thought it's not a problem.
Honestly, I didn't realize, to be honest. So I'm like, oh, okay. So even to seek help, even to speak of, even to be vulnerable, that needs a lot of strength. It doesn't mean you're weak, right? Like, I honestly relate to a lot of things she says. Even I try to reply to DMs because had it not been good DMs, had it not been for people's support, genuinely, I would not have come. Of course, God's grace, but kind words, promise, I mean, like, I'm seriously saying it really matters. Like, today my friends are here. I didn't expect. Abhinaya, she's there. Aishu, Aishwarya came. Aarti came. Makeup artist came. I didn't invite any of them. They just came. So this really means a lot. Somewhere when I'm low, I'm like, okay, my friends are there to count on, right? So kind words mean a lot. It's not that we are focusing only on the negative stuff, but somewhere it makes our day. So that's why when recently this little mud door, she kind of made miniatures of me and Ariva. So I was very touched. Little, like, of course, a lot of good comments, but this is like she took the time, made miniature dolls. She couriered it to me. Then she also couriered like a letter and a miniature doll of my husband and me. So then I told her, let me pay you at least for the courier. She said, no. She got offended. I said, okay, I'm sorry. Because
why don't people send me miniatures?
you come in my next music video, they'll send you. Yes. No, so what I end of the day mean is the kindness she had. I'm presuming she's a small business. She must be having her own expense. She took her time. But this really meant a lot. Like, I was so excited to showing my husband also. I said, look, miniature dolls of us. So I think this really touches us more than any expensive thing. It's the thought. I really mean it. So keep going. Let's be kind. Even if we disagree with each other, it's fine. Let's be healthy about it rather than bashing somebody down.
So, you had mentioned about 4 years ago when a whole controversy was there and the media was covering it, and now the same media is writing about your song, right? So, despite everything, you came out and gave your statement. You said that this is my identity and I don't have a problem with it. I'm not coming and questioning yours.
Because people have a problem with Urfi Javed. People have a problem with me. So what do we do then? You have a problem with that, you have a problem with this. So then I'm like, okay, honestly, let each one be, that's it, simple. Like, it's fine, you don't have to agree. That's how the world exists, right? God himself has created all of us differently. Not all 5 fingers are the same. So it's okay if I don't agree with your dressing or your ideology or your faith, it's fine. We can still be friends. Of course, until you're supporting harassers and oppressors, and I do not want to be attached to you. But I'm just saying that if we are like-minded, we are kind to each other, we can have a meal with each other, that's enough.
Yes.
Doesn't get complicated at all, right? It's as simple as that.
So I'll go to audience questions in 4 or 5 minutes, but I want to ask Parvathy one specific thing. So normally as journalists, we always want to know who's a celebrity who will talk about something controversial, right? Like even if it's political, and most times nobody wants to speak. Even in Tamil you can count. There are 4 or 5 people who will speak about something political. So you have chosen the path where you are very vocal about, whether it's politics, whether, for example, the CA and RC protest, you are continuously posting about it. So do you sometimes feel like there are actors who say, I don't want that pressure. I just want to do my art and leave, but I don't want to have an opinion or rather vocalize my opinion. Why did you choose this particular way, that you will be vocal about what you think?
Because I'm not just an actor. I can't be just that. I felt that identity in itself wasn't in any manner completing me. And I'm not looking for any one particular identity to complete me. I call myself a shapeshifter and all. But like just the basic idea is that when I'm acting a scene, and if I have to cry or laugh, I truly believe in what I'm saying in that moment. And people call it manifestation and visualizing and all that. It's actually just that what I'm doing in front of the camera. When I'm crying, I'm beating my chest, and I truly in that moment believe everything is gone. So every cell, every inch of my body needs to be oozing that despair. So if I'm able to envision that, internalize that, live that for the brief moment, and then technically like sever that off and come out of it, imagine in a daily life if I see people being murdered and lynched and their lives just being taken away purely because another section just decided. The rage and everything, that is not even me pretending. And that's just truly me, allowing myself to feel. Like I said earlier, I feel things, I allow myself to feel things. And like what Khatija was saying, there's also this idea of a strong feminist, right? Shouldn't cry and all of that. No, man, I cry a lot, especially when I'm angry though. I don't know why. And then they think that I'm crying because I'm sad. No, I'm angry because I don't want to be angry, and then I'm crying. Very mixed signals there. But I feel like I want to be a lot more than just an actor. I probably will be, I'll be a director, I'll tell my stories and all of that, but that's my career, that's the job I'm doing. But I know as a citizen, I have a say, especially having been born into the majoritarian sector. I have a say, and me being silent is supporting the oppressors. And that around, all across the board, anybody being silent, you are. And the fact is that whatever you are standing to lose is nothing compared to the lives that are being taken away. And it takes one moment to think, is it even possible for you to imagine for you to be slaughtered or your loved one being lynched at any point? Is it even possible for you to think? If that's possible, then internalize it. Try to sit with it. Live it a little in your head. I don't think it will be possible to not respond or do something about it. So I went for the CA protest, massive issues in the family and everything. But those are not losses I will never count for something to be so big that I'll even stop. Because I keep saying this, and I know most of us know this, if it's them now, it'll be us tomorrow. There is no stopping abuse of power at any point. It's not about us taking in the power and then us abusing them either, right? It's about changing the whole definition of power and how it needs to be spread across. So it's an unlearning. So for me, controversy, I don't even think of it as controversy. I think like I'm the channel that has been chosen. I have a stage, I have the voice. I don't know how to sleep at night if I don't do it. That's all. And I love sleep.
So when I think after 2018, when there are lots of political controversies plus this whole assault case in Kerala, I remember that almost every day we were writing like 4 or 5 articles, and there would be some really regressive actor in Malayalam who would have said something. I would message Parvathy as a public service saying that please don't put any post on this because then the next controversy will start, right? And then she'll get harassed again. Then Parvathy is like, okay, I won't react. In 10 minutes she would have put something. And then the next problem would start because some people cannot just...
I've learned my lesson though, Dhanya. What I did realize though, and this is serious, I feel like there are times when I do respond and the actual focus of their fight is taken away. And I'm like, it's all about the headlines. So Parvathy against whoever. And suddenly it's about that. And I've learned that the tough way. And that's also the other side of privilege, right? Like I can use my voice, but am I taking the mic away? That's a different thing. So there are times you got to know how to layer yourself right behind and like, give them the core power. Yeah.
So before I move to the audience, you are making a big comeback to, you did Navarasa in between, but...
come back one more time.
To Tamil cinema.
Yeah. I never left.
I know, but in my mind, yes, when she gave
by the way,
now
that we're talking about flights, this is just 2 friends bantering at this point as Sunday morning is gone. She actually, we're sitting next to each other in the flight and she's like, so you just done one movie, no? In Tamil? And I'm like, I can't even leave. I've boarded the flight. I can't even like get up and go. And then I like counted and he's like, I thought, that's it.
I don't watch too many movies.
Oh, that's not.
That could be my excuse. But you're doing Ranjit's next movie. So just a quick...
So Tangalan again, oh my God. It's like what she said earlier. It's like a pit of fire in my abdomen, like whenever I think about this movie. And it's kind of a difficult thing to talk about because Ranjit has given me a character that could be controversial in the fact that I've been given the character because it's again in the true spirit of representation. It could have gone to someone else, but Ranjit chose me. And my first question is like, are you sure you're going to be ready to take the questions as me being a part of a community that I'm not in life, like as an actor, as Parvathy? He said, no, I need you to perform this. And then there was this one day we were at workshop and something was gnawing at me. I was reading the lines, I was doing the acting workshop, this, that, and the other. But something was like, I don't belong here. I feel like I'm invading. I shouldn't be the one telling the story or something. It was just, there was nothing good that comes in just being apologetic about your privilege. You got to keep doing something about it. But then it's Ranjit. He knows what he's doing. So I kept telling him, he's like, divert the questions to me. I'll answer them. And I'm like, even that feels like a cushioning. Do I even deserve that? And then the writers came, Tamil Prabha. And he came and he looked at me in the eye and said, you are this character for us. We are giving you permission to be her. Okay? This is our ancestor we are talking about. Sorry, I'm well up just like saying this because... the importance of a writer giving you permission to be the character is the epitome of it. And having learned this, going through this process of unlearning and really this gnawing feeling of where I was just born into, I feel like this character gives me a scope to just bow down and tell the story of women in the 1870s. It's a period film of what they went through. No history has been written about those women. About men, maybe just a little bit. And I actually want to do something very weird. I don't even know if I have permission, but can I read out a message that a fellow woman
Do we give permission?
Thank you. But I won't say her name. I will. But I think it's important to, in the spirit of women of power, I think it's important. Sorry. Tomorrow is your day to enter a new role, to let a voiceless woman from history possess you and speak her truth through you. Doesn't matter who is doing enough and who isn't. You owe it to this character because she leaves you. When she leaves you, she would have transformed you. She has come to you through Ranjit, but she's yours. Be wonderful. I hope you and her have a good time with each other. Lots of love and respect. Have fun, my friend. Oh my God. This is the best message I could have gotten just the night before I started shoot. And then I could just actually let myself be. This movie is Ranjit's like magnum opus. And the way the shoot's going on, it's all kinds of rough and tough. I've never struggled so much as an actor. There were days I actually started to wonder, am I truly an imposter? I don't know what I'm doing. But between the action and cut and what we end up achieving, there is so much truth in the people who have actually lived before us. And the shocking truth of how we are literally just repeating history, even now. So I hope you all enjoy. I'm feeling like I'm in the I'm right in the core of it right now. So it's like hot just talking about it.
So I would just like to say, Chinmayi, we spoke a lot about you before you came. Thank you very much for joining the audience. Yes. So Parvathy was mentioning about you and your fight, and another person who will not keep quiet no matter how much struggle she's going through. She will have a comment on everything.
Yes.
So we will come to you. Thank you so much for joining. So now we'll go to the audience. We'll take a few audience questions. Anybody wants to ask a question? Yes. And please, let's ask questions, not make comments. Yeah, please ask questions. Yeah.
Hi Parvathy, hi Khatija.
Just hold the mic like this. Yeah.
Yeah, this is Charanya. Actually, I'm your age. I'm 35. And I watched your first movie, Pooh, when I was in college or school. I don't remember exactly. So that was the first movie when I felt like you were talking about the color thing, no? Like the dark. So that was the first movie any heroine was like taking that much guts. And I don't know, that was your first movie. Like what made you to do that? So it was actually, I was traveling the journey, like how from the movie. Now after that you did Marian. That was like I watched 2 times. Now I'm not going to talk about your movies. Actually, how I got inspired by your talk. Like you said, you get emotional when you see something wrong around you, right? So as a mother, I'm a mother of 2 kids. Now I went through postpartum. So when I voiced out about this postpartum depression within my family, they couldn't understand. Even my own mother was not supporting me when I was like going through a postpartum. Like, how do we handle? So you say that you raise your emotions through tweeting and you just voice out. So if you face that, if you emotionally outburst something and you know that you're going to be challenged somewhere. So do you feel like a fear inside? Oh, I'm going to be somewhere. I'm going to be caught. But still, I'm going to take. This is like I'm going to dare my challenge, and I'm going to try it out. Is it like a risky thing? I'm going to do it.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, fear all the time. There's always just existing, no matter how scared I am. But I took away that one thing that crippled me is that I expected people to understand me, and now I don't. I have taken that away from them. My kindness or my love for people is not measured according to how much they understand me. I don't even understand me. How can I expect somebody else to understand me? If they are attempting, I will appreciate their kindness in having taken the time to attempt and understand. If they are rubbishing me, it's not meant to be. I see it. But I will get hurt if especially it's a people who are very close to me. But I will still learn through it because Saranya, right? Saranya, I just stopped expecting life to be easy. I just need to get tougher, as somebody said, anonymous. Like, I just need to get tougher. And once that small little shift in my thought process came in every single day, I was at peace. And at the end of the day, I realized it's not even happiness that I'm looking for. I just need to be at peace to be able to do my job. And the only way I could be at peace is not resenting people around me. Now, that's the emotional aspect of it. Am I able to get help medically? Now that becomes political, right? Because now, talking about many things that we speak about, much of the things that we supposed to be given gynecologically, it's not even given to us as information. We don't have those information around us. It's not even talked about in our own families. Like, I speak very openly about my body in my family, not because I want to make anybody uncomfortable, not that I think my body should make anybody uncomfortable, but I've never seen my mother ever say that she's unwell growing up. And now that when I'm unwell at 35, or I've got some cyst or a fibroid to check or something like that, and I'm like, Mom, did you have that? Like, yeah, I had that. I'm like, how come you never told me about it? We have the same body. And I did have, actually, I mean, this is probably TMI, but I did have a fibroid when I was 19 years old. And at one point, my mom was helping me wear drape a sari, and she felt it, and she's like, what is this? I'm like, I thought you have it too. I thought it was normal, because how would I know if nobody at any point talked about their body so freely? Because it needed to not be discussed if there is something off about it, be it in our school textbooks or anywhere. So I feel like that's a different subject. I still am afraid to go to a hospital, to go to a gynac, because I don't know if I'm going to be gaslit about my choices. I have the same fears as any other person. Just because I'm a celebrity doesn't take away that. In fact, sometimes it's worse because there are these notions around. But existing despite the fear, because I don't think fear will ever go away, Saranya. But the fact is, you reach out, you'll find that one person, whoever, whatever gender it is, they will be there to say that, I see you. Sometimes it's not even a friend, a witness will help you. I promise you it's going to happen.
Hello, my name is
journalist, so-
Tasneem.
yeah.
I'm an independent journalist and content creator from Chennai. So actually my question is for, anybody can answer this. I came upon this quote recently that art is for the privileged. Do you agree with that? Do you think that, of course, I know you touched about your privilege so many times, but I can't stop thinking about this. The more I think, the more I tend to agree. And do you feel that, people, artists who are not from the privileged background cannot make certain choices of not taking up a job because it's their bread and butter, and in that process make a lot of compromises?
Well, I disagree that it is for the privileged, but you can't make your choices sometimes if that's the only source of bread and butter, and we have to be practical about it, right? So you are right in what you said, because sometimes maybe you won't get paid, maybe you will not, you might have to do uncomfortable things. When I mean uncomfortable things, maybe you would not like that role, but you have to do it because maybe that's just your bread and butter, and you only know to do that, then you have to compromise, unfortunately, which the privileged needn't do.
No, I agree too. I agree that art is not, like, in terms of saying is art only for the privileged. No, it shouldn't be, right? It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. But is it the status quo right now? Is the majority of the artists who are able to make choices, is it because of the privilege they're born into and eventually earn privilege? But it's about how we are using that privilege to make sure that we are cutting the way forward so that that doesn't continue. I'm hoping that happens. And I'm trying to do that. And I know Khatija is trying to do that. But the fact, it is still true. There are so many conversations we have in the collective where people come in and this whole thing about women being pitted against women and saying that, oh, but then why did she have to do that? She made the choice of it. And the fact that choice is such a huge word there. Like, if my child was starving and my only option was this, you cannot give me a dissertation on choice. So I get that. So there is holding space. There is so much holding space, not out of generosity, but because damn right that's the only thing you should be doing when you have privilege. So yeah, recognize what you're saying.
Hi, my name is Madhi. So my question is, of all these years, so you see a lot of women characters and women voices and everything, even trans voices, LGBT voices written by cishet male, right? Even now it's continuing. But at some point of time that has to change. And how are we going to change that?
I don't believe characters or generally stories should only be told by the gender, like I was in the corresponding gender, right? Like, I don't believe that, but I do believe there needs to be more representation in all kinds of perspective, be it he, she, they, them, writing about a protagonist who's probably not corresponding to their gender identity. But the way I'm doing it, which is the only thing I can comment on, is that if it's a cishet male writing a female protagonist character and I get to play it, I get to have conversations about, I don't think she will do it. I don't see that happening. Are you open to having a conversation about it? And
Can
if
you
they
give
are,
an example of something that you have said, women don't talk like this, or women don't... this is
more
not the
than
way.
not, women don't act like it, or it was this movie Uyare that I did, in which there was this part where my ex-boyfriend and I mean, I'm just breaking up with the boyfriend. And there was a scene which eventually did not make it to the film, where Tovino's character comes in and there is this altercation between them.
On the flight.
Not on the flight, like altercation between the
See,
character
I have
Tovino.
watched it.
It's bad timing, Dhanya. God. So self-absorbed. So Tovino's character and Asif Ali's character, both of them have this altercation in that what would have been a scene in the film. And I remember listening to it, and Manu was there, Bobby sir, and Sanjay sir was not there. And both of them was like Manu said it was like watching a tennis match between me and Bobby sir. I was like, but why not me? I'm the one wronged. Why am I not saying anything?
Somebody else is speaking on your behalf.
Yeah,
in the
it's
scene.
always the two men righting the wrong done to a woman. I kept saying, why haven't we explored her standing up, her speaking up, or her walking away, her doing something? Because the thing has happened to her. It's a story we are writing.
So those who have not seen the movie, Asif Ali, the actor, throws acid on her.
Asif Ali, not the actor of God. Asif Ali plays a character.
Yeah, whatever.
that-
Asif Ali, the actor who plays the character, throws acid on her. And Tovino is like this guy who's
He's
her
a friend.
So the scene was supposed to be Tovino standing up for you.
Tovino standing up for me, and sort of this very typical like man versus man fight sort of a thing, which we've seen. I'm not saying that wouldn't happen at all. I was just suggesting, Bobby sir, what about this? And then after enough conversation, it was all about exploring a new visual scape. What if we follow what Pallavi is going to do and not what others are going to do for her? What are the actions she is taking, and we only stick to that. And that I really appreciate that they were very open to having that discussion. The tennis match that I was talking about was not him pushing back. It was him trying to understand why I needed this. And it was difficult to understand that. And that itself says a lot. Because I'm like, when I'm saying that this is an image that will change the DNA of the viewing culture, it for some reason was like, we don't get it. It's like the sky is blue. Really? What does that mean? It's like, it's that obvious for us when I say it. So that's one small example what I would say. But that openness is not there. And there are projects that I walked out of because there are scenes I'm like, why is the scene here? And it's totally to propagate the idea that the savior complex needs to be given up. And I'm like, I'm not saying that doesn't exist, but is it being glorified? Then I gotta walk. So I've done that. So as an actor, the only thing I can do is to either step in and have discussion and bring about an organic change, or to walk away. And my stepping away in itself is taking that power or making it happen. At this point, if there is anything I can do after building up a certain space or a certain skill set, if I'm not gonna share my skill set to achieve that. But as a director, what I'm going to do is also just that. What I'm in the process of creating is also work environment and where when writing a male character, I am going to be talking to men too. That also makes sense, right? So yeah, I mean, it has to change. As an actor, that's what I'm trying to do.
Before we go to the next question, make sure when this goes on YouTube, I'm not saying Asif Ali threw acid on Parvathy.
I'm gonna go live.
Yes.
Yeah. Hello, I'm Himanshu. First of all, Khatija, I just want to add one sentence to what Khatija said. Like, people have problem with Urfi, people have problem with Khatija, and people have problem with me. Like, all women, like, the world has problem with all women. My question is to Parvathy. First of all, I love your septum piercing. It's amazing. Why has anyone pointed it out? Okay, fine. So my question is what can, so it's about like queerness. It comes to you because you have shed light upon it, and you have talked about your own personal experiences. You have about your a photo shoot you have done 2 years back, which is amazing. So, like, what can be done to improve or like to start, like, improve the queer representation in cinema? Because we don't really like relate much to the cishet characters that much.
I
So,
can
yeah.
I can imagine that in only
Thank
in the
you.
sense that I identify myself as a woman, and I know when it's like I can't watch another, with all due respect, one man having an ego problem with another man, and the whole movie is about them having revenge with each other. Like, that trope is going on, and it's great hit with those who can, relate to it. Too much fights happening, but and then the fact is that when I am not able to watch that, there's something that Meryl Streep said in one of her interviews is that I sit and watch stories about men and I can still feel all these feelings towards them. Like, but suddenly when a woman is leading or woman is the leading character, suddenly men are like, it's a chick flick. So I'm like, he's a human still. It's still emotions that that person is going through, whatever gender it is. But why suddenly did that get taken away, that audience get taken away? So that's a cultural conversation to have. When it comes to queer community, the writers, makers in that space, we don't have anybody coming forward, mainly because, and I apologize for that, there hasn't been safe spaces created for them. The harassment that they have to go through is unimaginable for me. So it's up to me, included, to create that space. There are a few coming in already, but it's in no way, like, sometimes people are like, Parvathy, so this has happened, that's happened, aren't you happy? I'm like, not even close. Don't tell me to be happy with breadcrumbs when I deserve the entire feast. So you do too. And I promise I'm doing my best to hold space and make space and not take up your space. Yeah. What's your name? Himanshu.
Hi, good morning. This is Dr. Nafiza working as professor. I have a question for Khatija, not only for Khatija, for all the women in the industry especially. If Rihanna exposes and sings, that becomes an issue. If Khatija covers and sings, that also becomes an issue. So women, irrespective of the industry, women are always tagged with the dress that they wear, irrespective of the profession they take up. Why this happens and how do you perceive why this is so dominant in entertainment industry especially? How do you perceive it?
It happens more in the entertainment industry, or is it happening too?
It's happening outside, but I feel it's more in the entertainment industry, right? Like, for example, why it happens, we all know it. I don't want to state the obvious, because I think men kind of from older times have dictated what we should wear, how we should be. And there is one more thing. This thing is, if you expose only, you'll get more views. If you so I want to change that. I aim probably to be that artist where your art speaks for itself. It doesn't have to be what you wear. You wear clothes, you don't wear. I mean, that's none of my thing. But that has to change. It doesn't, because actually a lot of stars I see though. I don't want the youngsters to kind of get carried away that you have to expose, you have to show your skin to kind of be on the top. So I want to change that. And then I think the fact that I've come on a board across Chennai is changing that. So I'm saying that let's change that.
So, to just take your question forward, is it because she's saying, is that gaze more on the entertainment industry? Is it also because all of us feel that if a woman or a man also is in the entertainment industry, they are free to be commented on? That you can you have more a say as a stranger on their lives, what they wear, how they behave.
I believe it's amplified. It's not that it's more in the entertainment industry, because of the nature of the job, it just gets amplified more. And yes, because we are, in the first few years, I was always told it's a part and parcel of the job, Parvathy. You have to just put up with it. You chose this job and now they are going to comment on your body and what you're wearing and all of that. Not that they've stopped or anything, but for me, making sure that in many of my interviews to say that we have a deal, you and I. You're the audience and I'm providing a service which is performing as an actor. Our deal ends there. Anything more that you want to know about me, unless I volunteer to, you have no right in asking. It's none of anybody's business. And that's something that I had practiced at a very young age. But again, whatever was going through in my body was still commented on, be it... I feel like one thing that needs to be stated, no matter how many times we state it, it's not that it's going to change. It's not an easy thing to hear. but women and minority genders have always been used as a weapon to the benefit of the patriarchal structure, and that's a fact. The fact is, we are goddesses at one point and we are prostitutes another, according to everyone's convenience. So that structure is what needs to be shaken from the core, and for that I needed to have understood my own reservations and prejudices towards women.
Khatija, are you cognizant that, many years later into the industry also, you have many compositions, people are still going to talk about your attire, right?
Yeah, that's going to happen.
You're prepared for
For
it.
example, 2-3 years back, like a big publication, so they said, you're wearing the burqa, your sister wears jeans, do you have a problem? I said, oh, these kind of questions, I reached out, like we kind of set up this interview because I wanted kind of exposure for my song. And then this is how you ask me the question, and I met that person again and I told him I felt uncomfortable. I didn't want to keep quiet about it. Because then he said, oh, we didn't meet face to face. I'm like, okay, that doesn't matter, but you still kind of, I said, not bad, you've become better. I told him.
I wonder who the person is. Yeah.
Tell you later.
Yeah. Yes.
Hi, I am Alamu.
Yes,
My
Alamu.
question is for Khatija. I know we've talked a lot about trolls or struggle and everything. I am also very interested to know about your future projects. And also what is your process with regarding music, and both as a director of the foundation and also in music, like what are your plans for the future?
I do have some interesting projects, but I strongly believe I don't want to talk about it until it comes out. But for sure, God willing, it will come out this year. I have been pushing, trying to push myself, trying to trust more in myself. In fact, when I took it up, in 3 days I said, oh, I can't. And then my husband said, no, you cannot give up now. You have to try. So I think this year is going to be the real me who has to come out. And in terms of the foundation, we are trying to expand. I think for us, we are a very small scale foundation, but I think the impact is huge. Our students who are part of the strings and brass section, they are breaking a lot of stereotypes. In terms of brass, they are heavy instruments, but there are women from government schools playing it. And we had an amazing concert yesterday. So in our own way, we are giving back to music because that has given us a lot. So that is our way of giving back. And the string section have played at the UN, so United Nations. So that is an amazing thing for us. So I think with all your love, support, and with God's grace, this year, I think things are, I will try to put out more of my work, take up more challenging projects, which I think I really deserve to do. Thank you.
So before we go to the next audience question, we were talking to each other before the session, not now, a few days ago on, what should we not talk about, what should we talk about. So Khatija told me that we should speak about how after marriage people just refer to me very differently, right? Yeah.
So suddenly there's all like Mrs. Then they're like, okay, we've gone to another family, so we'll give you separate invitations. I'm like, I'm still part of the family, so it's okay if you've invited my dad, I'll still come with my husband. So I think these kind of things have to change, right? Somebody told me, oh, now your invitations will be separate. Your brother will get it because he's the son. In fact, somebody outside said, I said, oh, okay, but why is it different? I'm still part of the family. So that happens, or they say Mrs., or they don't add the last name because they're like, oh, I don't know if you've changed your name. I mean, if somebody wants to change the name, I don't want to comment about it. But I'm just saying that why is it changing just for us? Why is the curiosity to know if I'm married or not? But honestly, there's a lot of proposals before my marriage, especially because probably they thought I'm soft and I'll be very thing, but I'm the most stubborn person you can meet. Okay. So then they thought, okay, in fact, somebody who's already married is tweeting and saying, oh, I want to marry her. My dad is like, what is happening? I told him, probably they think I'm soft, but there's just more to me, right, beyond that. So this Mrs. thing is happening. Or, are you cooking? I think last year was one of the, so my husband was going on a 40-day tour with my dad. So there was this US series of concerts which my dad was doing. And then before that, I got a platform to speak at a conference in New York. So then they said, oh, you're leaving your husband and going. I said, he's leaving me for 40 days. Why you're not asking him? Why is the question only coming to me? And whenever I meet, is he traveling? Oh, he must be busy working, but I'm also slogging. Why is my work not magnified? Of course, I'm proud of my husband, but why is it that, oh, you both must be working, you both must be finding it hectic? No. Oh, he must be working. Oh, he must be traveling. What is he doing? I'm also doing things, but why is that thing coming, right? Then, of course, I'm happy for him. Then I said, okay, let them think whatever they small-minded.
Yeah, okay.
This is a question for Parvathy. There's a very valid critique in society about feminism in India on two lines. One, that it is mostly feminism from a very dominant caste, dominant class perspective. And I'm asking you this question because you actually alluded to it in a few of your words. And the second critique is that it is very male-female binary, right? That it assumes that all women are victims and all men are the aggressors. How much has WCC and the privileged women in the industry have really helped? And one of the things that I also wanted to add and ask you was, in the recent controversy over Arivu's work for Enjoy Enjami being appropriated, how many women, because it's the same structure that oppresses women, both on caste and in gender. So I just wanted to get your sense for it. Thank you.
Thanks for the question. I feel like I'll start from the last one up, okay? Just in what my understanding, and I could be wrong, I'm still learning this, is that this same structure, what has happened to Arivu, which shouldn't have happened, of course, the fact is that even there, I still feel, even in communities which are oppressed, women are oppressed further. They get more and more invisible there. This is from what I've learned from them, what I've witnessed from them, and that's thanks to the collective. It's because totally until the collective was formed, my understanding of intersectionality was extremely wafer thin and limited. And it's when I started speaking and a lot of trolling and all these things happened, I realized the only stages that were given out were for me and the other privileged, more economically sound or from upper caste, oppressing caste communities. So I feel like what the collective has done is we've shifted it along. We don't have an up and down structure, we have a horizontal structure where the center remains the collective and its intent, and we emanate outwards as a concentric circle. We are a lateral structure where no one person is leading, always it's a team that's leading. And whenever a stage is there and we are being invited, we take turns and we combine. We combine because media, or let's say bigger stages when they call, and when we say that, okay, we have other members who can also very well speak some always better than us because they have lived experience that we don't. They said, oh, but we need someone who's known and a celebrity and all that. So we realized that, okay, we gotta do this Trojan horse thing. So I can be the Trojan horse, I'm gonna carry them, and then boom. Then there is no getting away from that. So we're big fans of Trojan horse techniques. So if that is something that we are able to do even in terms of on a film set, we'll do that technique, because it becomes a game at some point. We can't keep screaming at the top of our voices. About the binary that you were saying, again, it's a learning, I'm understanding. The fact that the binary about the man being the aggressor and the women getting oppressed, even the binary of male, female itself has gone kaput in my head. That just does not exist. For me, yes, I identify as a female, but there is so much more I'm still learning about myself in terms of my sexuality, in terms of my interests, in terms of understanding how I look at another person whom I love and like. It has just opened up there are also conversations I've had with people. There's no such thing called a spectrum. There is also that. So I'm not understanding the oppressed oppressor binary even between male and female. We have all kinds of gender identifying humans who are getting oppressed by the other in terms of where the power structure lays, in terms of the economic space, or where the career choices and the opportunities lay. So I wouldn't know that. That's partly because of my lived experience being limited. But what I do get is that in the entertainment industry, that binary is getting broken down massively, at least in Malayalam, in terms of the people coming in and the lyrics that are being written in songs now, or the stories that are being said, and the characters that come in as the supporting characters, but like pivotal supporting characters being written in, are all the world surrounding the protagonist. Maybe the protagonist still hasn't changed, it's still a male or a female. The surrounding environment entirely is replete with representation of something that doesn't hold a binary true. So that's hopefully one thing about binary. Coming back to your first question, I'll try to be quick.
Yeah.
Really feel that energy from her.
Yeah.
I do not know enough to say I'm not a perfect feminist. I never will claim to be a perfect feminist. I think it's an unfair ask to any human to be a perfect feminist. I don't know who can be. But the fact is, it's a fact that if I have belonged, having been born into it, I need to know what to renounce and where to hold space. And that's the minimum bit I'm able to do and understand and do as someone who was born into a privileged space. Leaving my surname, but when I say I was born into it, it's only to underline the fact that I don't hold it any longer. But the ancestry of what they have done will never leave me. And that's something that I will continue to live with, the discomfort and the truth of that, but I won't carry that forward. It's the only thing that I can do right now, I guess. So I probably am not a perfect feminist, but I hope to get better every day at it. Thank you for the question.
Yes. Hi, myself Namrita. My question is for Parvathy. Right now, for the movie industry as such, we say that it's pan-Indian. There's no Bollywood, Mollywood. They try to bring out that. But the thing is, at the ground level, there are movies and there's woman-centric. There's no man-centric movies as such. We just say movies and woman-centric. What's your take on that? What's your take on the term woman-centric?
Just 1 minute. We'll take one more question. Yes.
My name is Mitra, I'm a psychologist. This is in line with today's topic about women of power. So whenever we talk about power and women, there's always an assumption that representation from the point of view of being a woman comes only with achievement, comes with a lot of success, and that success being acknowledged and awarded, right? So there is, however, power in showing up with authenticity without the coverage, without having to be an actor or having to be a singer or having to be in a part of an industry. Apart from that, there is authenticity in being a woman, being a person as such. So how do you feel like, I'm actually throwing it to all three of you, apart from your identity as a journalist or an actor or a singer, how do you feel like you're showing up with the authenticity or the power and authenticity of your mundane or ordinary? Thank you.
Namrita, oh my God, I protest. I protest to that word, that term, all kinds of limiting terms, and do come from a certain understanding that until unless it's put in a category that people can just put away, box away, it really, really agitates people when they can't box things. And they fear what they can't understand. But more often than not, I try to have this conversation with everybody, is that what you don't understand doesn't need to scare you. It's just another human being. You just need to sit there instead of resisting or just denying its existence. So I take away in my conversation, the moment a call comes and they say it's a female-centric, and I'm like, damn, I wish you hadn't said that. You know, I was so in until then. But then I do listen to the entire subject, and I try to have these conversations with them. It's like, do you have to call it that? And there are times I have made sure that when you're pitching it, or projects that are coming to me that are going to other actors, I'm like, can you remove that, because it's a human-centric thing. So I believe that the terminology part of it goes two ways. One is the terminology limiting us, but then as collective does, it's a devil's advocate space in the collective. They also say when we use the terminology for representation that has not been there, we are bringing it to light as well. So maybe not use female centric as a way, because in that case you got to make each and every centric, but you also make sure that the lead is a female or the story is about this woman is actually enunciated enough so that that becomes normal to hear after a point. And maybe it's the next step that we take away gender in itself when we talk about a story. There's a story about one human and their hubris and it's the fall of that, or like Shakespearean tragedy or whatever. So it's both ways. I love knowing this. And my very first understanding of it was to protest and say, take it away. But the other way, I was like, how do you normalize something you've never heard? You've not heard enough. So you say it enough number of times that it becomes second nature. It doesn't shock you anymore. So you say that again as much as, but we try to use semantics to our favor, that, you know, we try to not let that become another box for us to like try to fit into.
So in this woman-centric conversation, Khatija wants to have the last word.
I know this is unsolicited advice or thoughts, but my gut feeling just wanted to share something. So I'm presuming there's a lot of women who are not married here. Please choose wisely. No, I'm telling like a sister, like not.
Parvathy is putting her hands up. She's listening intently.
Yeah, I'm listening. Okay. So please choose wisely. Don't settle for less. When I mean less, anything less than good behavior, please. And second thing is, when I hear the words allow, do they allow you to work? Do they allow you to go out? Please. There's nobody who has to allow.
Run, don't walk.
And second thing, yeah, so I think that is important. Please be financially independent. Don't depend on anyone. And also, I don't agree with all the financial pressure put on men as well. It's not that I'm talking just for this one, but please choose wisely. And those who are married, I don't know how many of them are controlled by in-laws or whoever it is, who don't give the women the freedom they deserve. But please, in your own way, it is your right. If you want to work, if you want to stay at home, it's up to you. But I think it is very important, and I can't stress enough, because you make one wrong choice, that kind of determines, like, half your piece is gone, to be honest. Of course, there are options, there are so many things, but please choose wisely. If you want any advice, you can DM me for sure.
Why not singing Khadija as giving out marriage advice?
No, I mean, I'm saying it because I think a good partner or anybody is a huge blessing. So having had it, I want to say how important it is to choose a good person, and please don't put up with any toxic things. And they will try to dominate in the name of faith or whatever. Faith itself will not have those rules, but they will use it to dominate. Please do not get fooled.
So before I hand over the mic to Raga.
One sec. I'm so sorry. We didn't answer a question.
Oh, sorry. But quick.
Okay, no, about authenticity is so important. So I love Alok V. Menon, if you follow him. I love that regardless of what you've achieved or not, you are still worthy to be loved. I struggle with that a lot. I think having been a people pleaser and recovering from it, and knowing that, okay, if I make something and I show it to my parents, and if I wasn't showered with appreciation, I didn't know who I was anymore. So I'm still understanding the psychology behind all that, a lot of inner child healing and all. But when they keep saying that, the more I listen to those reels and conversations, the more I'm allowing myself to fail. And I think in authenticity, I know it goes with women of power as well, but just literally that vulnerability that you're allowed to feel every day in order to just fail. And it's okay. Because for the longest period, I feel, even as a feminist, and an unapologetic feminist, as Shabir was saying, I was like, sometimes I apologize, sometimes I am weak. Sometimes
we can't be introducing you as a feminist who sometimes apologizes, right?
I want to normalize that. I want to normalize that I sometimes don't have the energy to carry this forward. I want to be able to curl up in a ball and cry and not come out for some time. And I hope that there will be space still held for me when I come back, if I come back. But that vulnerability and that authenticity is what helps me sort of like pat myself, saying that, oh, you actually are alive in this. Because both are bad. One extreme is the complete apathy, and the other extreme is suddenly you carrying the entire weight and thinking if you're not doing enough, then you're not worthy to be loved or respected. So that again strings to the whole perfect feminist thing or a perfect human thing. Stay flawed, but if you have the intention of not hurting others and wanting to correct yourself and learn. It's a big ask. It's a very esoteric, like very bookish thing to say. But on a daily basis, I learn so much from my rage, so much from my anger. I allow myself the anger. I don't want to be the kind, sweet, loving person. There is anger because there is hurt, and there is hurt because of something. So you keep peeling deeper. My take on authenticity is that you allow yourself to fail quite a bit, and that's power. There is power in that also.
So before I hand over to Raga, I just want to just recount a funny conversation I had because you mentioned that people who say, I allow, right? When this whole WCC movement had started, and there were a lot of these people saying that, but women don't get sexually harassed, unless you do something, you are ready for it, or you have said something, you don't get sexually harassed. So I had a conversation with a very famous actor without taking his name. So he also kind of said something like this, and I was like, how can you say that? He said, I've acted in many movies, I've not seen any women harassed. Then I'm just getting angry at the moment, and finally he said, see, I am a liberal person, I allow my wife to work. I'm like, dude, end of the conversation. End of the conversation.
So
Yes.
same thing, right? So that person said you're kind of talking very women centric, this, that, you don't understand men go through things. I allow my wife, I permit my wife to work. I'm like, there is your problem. And I couldn't say anything because that was kind of like a distant whoever.
My husband permitted me today, so I'm here. And he's looking after 4 cats and a human child. Yeah. No. So thank you very much, Khatija. Thank you very much, Parvathy. It has been a wonderful experience. 2 people I admire, and I hope it was an inspirational session for all of you. Thank you very much for being a part of Women of Power.
Thank you so much for coming, guys.
Thank you.